Hello and welcome back to Box Checked. If you've researched the market or auction sites lately for Chinese mini skid steers, you've probably noticed there's quite a few variations out there. They have many names, model numbers, and color schemes. And many of these you're going to find are strikingly similar. So in this video, we're going to dive into the difference between two of the most commonly seen Chinese mini skid steers out there, the AGT LRT23 and JQ Power's JQ400. What's the difference? Now, I've gotten my hands on both of these mini skid steers and have been able to compare and contrast them side by side. So, in this video, I'm going to reveal what's the same and what's different between these two models. I'm also going to reveal what differences I actually liked in both of these models and some things I didn't like so much. Okay, so to start with, when we examine all the different parts, the assembly, and the makeup of these two, they are basically the same. Same bucket, same hydraulics, same engine, same drive system, same track tensioning system, same lights on the machine. The engine is mounted on the fuel tank in the same way on both. Even the joystick controls and the gauges are exactly the same. Overall, both of these are using the same parts and design. In fact, these are so similar that I'm convinced they're manufactured by the same company. They just put a different name on it. Basically, everything from the bucket back to this point right here, and not to overuse the word, but it's exactly the same. Okay, so what's different? Well, other than the color scheme and different hood and access panel stamping, the difference begins to occur at the operator station. The JQ400 has curves which begin at the gauges and they follow along where the operator's legs will be. Now, I don't know this, but I'm assuming that this is for knee relief. The curve of the steel actually continues down and extends a little bit further underneath the platform. The LRT23, on the other hand, has a flat back panel, and the steel underneath the operator's platform tapers in towards the center of the machine. The JQ400 has the looks with the black and dark gray colors and the curves, but personally, I like the flat back design of the LRT23. It doesn't bother me at all. I actually find the access panel of the LRT23 a little bit easier to remove. There is more space for fueling and the hydraulic lines that run, underneath the engine, but above the fuel tank. There's a little bit more space for that. And I feel like the engine airflow may actually be a little bit better because this panel is backed off from the engine a little bit more. Another difference can be found in the actual operator's platform that you would stand on. The LRT23's platform is a little bit shorter and angled down slightly, while the JQ400's platform is a little bit longer and pitched up a bit. Now, you wouldn't think this would make much of a difference, but I gotta tell you, after testing out both of these, the JQ400 slight pitch up was noticeably positive and actually a huge relief to the calf muscles if you're driving it for more than 15 or 30 minutes. Additionally, the JQ400's extra steel, which curves underneath the operator's platform, it serves as kind of a skid plate. So if you're going forward or reverse over something, this extra steel is going to scrape before the plate you're standing on will. And that is not the case with the LRT23. And speaking of extra steel, that's another minor difference between these two. If my math and these tags are correct, the JQ400 weighs a whopping 44 more pounds than the LRT23. I didn't get a chance to video this before I sold the machine, but the JQ400 with its curves actually measures 1 or 2 inches longer than the LRT23 in overall length. So if the theory of the 33% rule is true, and that being that mini skids can lift 33% of the machine weight plus the operator, then the JQ400 can lift 14.5 more pounds than the LRT23. And a final difference that I'll note, and I don't know if this is with every JQ400, but it was with the one I got, the track tread pattern was different. It's not really noticeable whenever you're driving on soil, but when I was driving the JQ400 on concrete, it about shook me to death. And this literally took me days to figure out what was causing this because they're so similar. But finally, after multiple inspections, I realized that the tracks that came on my JQ400, the track pattern was different and there was a slight gap between the treads, just enough to cause this excessive vibration. So, just a little side note and tip I learned here. If you're thinking about buying a mini skid and you have the opportunity to check it out first, bring a speed square with you. And so, what I recommend you do is actually slide the speed square along the track and then just pay attention to the leading edge of that square as you're moving it either forward or back. And the leading edge should always be contacting a tread. If you find there's a gap where the leading edge is not contacting a tread, even if it's a slight gap, trust me, you're going to feel that. Okay, to sum up the comparisons between the LRT23 and JQ400, overall, like I said, they're basically the same. I like the JQ400 slight pitch and elevation on their standing platform. And I also like the extra steel which serves as that skid plate. I wish I had those things on my LRT23. However, I really like my LRT23. I like how easy the access panel is to remove, and I also like that little bit of extra space the engine compartment and hydraulic hoses have. And I like the tracks a whole lot better on that LRT23 versus the JQ400. But at the end of the day, either one of these things can lift way more than I can, and they're both good machines in my opinion. So since we're discussing different Chinese mini skid steer models out there, I got to be honest, my curiosity is up. There's actually two other Chinese mini skid steer models that I want to get one day. And I want to test these out and compare them to my LRT23 because like I said, I like my LRT23, but I want to know which one's the best. Hey, let me know in the comments. What mini skid steer do you have and what are your thoughts on it? And if you don't have a mini skid steer yet, but you're thinking about buying one, which model are you leaning toward? All right, so that's it for this video and the differences and the similarities between the JQ400 and LRT23. Thanks for watching. Till next time.